The Hawaii Sports Radio Network on 95.1 FM and AM 760 presents Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ule Agbayani.
Good morning, beautiful people. It's Wake Up in the Den. I'm Ku'ule Agbayani alongside Paul Brecht on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM, AM 760, hawaiisportsradio.com, and of course streaming live on our YouTube channel as we do this and every Monday morning. Thank you for joining us today on this Aloha Monday, on this Victory Monday. It is, as promised, it is a pom-pom party, and Paulie B has his pom-poms as well. Woo! We got to put it in the microphone so people on it.
We're an audio. We are also also an audio-only medium.
Welcome to the party. It's a party. It's a party. It's a party. We can't play the actual song because of YouTube restrictions, so we just had to sing it right there. The post-game victory song that Hawaii football dances and rejoices to in the locker room. But yes, it is a pom-pom party this morning. It already looks like it's a pom-pom party in the chat as well. A shout out to everyone joining us in the live chat. Hello to our Michael Escarrow there. He's actually up early today. Wow, look at that.
Proud of him. Hopefully he's feeling better.
He's excited too because of that massive win by the University of Hawaii. And I want to make sure we also note that our ladies, our Rainbow Wahine volleyball team, also got the win at UC San Diego in a sweep. So it was a double dose of winning for the University of Hawaii on Saturday. So a lot of the two sports right now that I know a lot of people were passionate about were in action on Saturday. So I just wanted to make sure we mentioned our Rainbow Wahine before we get into our football talk. Just celebrating now, not only that massive win, as we know, but as we were saying last week, that if they won, we're bowl bound, baby. And there you go. Hawaii is bowl bound for the first time under Timmy Chang, and it feels like forever. I know we were bowl bound not too many years ago, but as we mentioned, it just feels the vibes are way different. It feels similar to back like pre-2020 on what this football team is feeling like, what these wins feel like. And that massive win, 31-19 at Colorado State. So going on the road to play Air Force, winning that game, coming back like, all right, Utah State is another worthy opponent. They're going to be difficult to beat, yada, yada, yada. Took care of business. Go on the road again, back into altitude, and we're to take care of business in Colorado State as well. And we'll get into some of of course, the actual breakdown of the game itself. I got, as always, the plethora of notes when I rewatched the game yesterday, my Sunday tradition. By the way, thank you, UH Football, because you make my Sunday tradition of watching the replay a lot more enjoyable this season, as opposed to other times when you're like, oh, do I have to put myself through this? But again, it's all enjoyable. Not perfect. Nothing ever will be. But darn, have we been pretty close every single game. And hence, when you limit a lot of these errors, but you have the type of team that this team is, you're going to come out with wins. And that is exactly what this football team has been doing. And I want to give a lot of credit to the fact that that's what feels like is a significant difference, is that the discipline on this team and to limit these penalties for these few games that they've come up with these massive wins have led to that, because I don't want to take anything away from Air Force, from Utah State, from Colorado State, and it's a conference game. Like, they're all good teams. Anyone can win on any given day, and Hawaii has just been the more disciplined team to add on to all of the other offensive talent that they have, all that firepower, and of course the defense that keeps showing up and showing out. But man, it feels good. And it's a party, it's a party, it's a party.
It's a different feeling. And I'll say this kind of on the bowl front. I do understand that Hawaii was eligible for a bowl, like, I think all the way up to the final year of that guy.
That's what I meant. That's why I was saying it feels different.
But it's different because it's a different era of college football, and one where, I mean, when Timmy took over, it was legitimate concern where you're giving a rookie head coach practically no resources, a completely barren roster, a high school stadium, no true plans on actually giving a real stadium to go into, and saying, hey, lead us to the promised land, please. And it was not easy. It did not come without bumps, bruises. It did not come without a lot of, lessons. But it's all shown up this year, where a lot of mistakes you've seen in previous seasons are no longer there. Hawaii is winning games in the fourth quarter. Hawaii is holding off teams who are making late comebacks. They're playing cohesively. They're playing complementary football. It's been really, really impressive through 8 games, and they deserve all of the praise and all of the credit that they're getting. And as both coaching staff and players, because I think you've seen the growth of the staff as well. Now, obviously, some of them are very veteran. Some of that has helped over the past couple of years, bringing in the appropriate personnel to help Timmy in his growth. But I truly think you've seen him grow as a head man, and it's deserving of the party that is today and will end up being all throughout this week. That's part of why it was so important to win this past weekend. You bring up the bowl eligibility, you bring up keeping the win streak going, you bring up just playing, and great vibes. But going into a bye week, you either get a chance to lament a loss for essentially 2 weeks, or it's a party. It is legitimately time to celebrate because you've made it back to the postseason, and now the goals shift, right? This was one box on the checklist, and I think they said it themselves. Their goals aren't finished. Far from it, in fact. But this is a great, great baseline to start at and say, all right, we've got a bowl in our back pocket. Now let's go for the conference.
Yeah, and the conference, as we keep mentioning for the past couple of weeks, that the conference is wide open. We'll talk about some of the other results for the conference coming up a little later in the show. Before we get into the specific takeaways of the game, however, I do want to get into some pre-game stuff just because it was kind of funny that happened. What was this, on Thursday or Friday? Shout out to the greatest general manager in college football, that is Matt John.
My king.
Because if you guys hadn't seen it, if you guys follow John Veneri on social media, he posted on his Instagram story of Matt John, and I hope this doesn't get anyone in trouble for HR purposes, but Matt John scaling like the tower that had cameras that overlooked, I guess, what was going to be the practice field. I'm not sure if it was Canvas Stadium itself, but the like security cameras. And you had Matt John with like those football pennies, like the jersey things that they put on in his pockets to essentially climb up there to cover the cameras. Like, if somebody's got to do it, and it was going to be Matt John. I know he's younger than me. He might still be in his 20s, so he's still good. That's he's still young.
He looks great. I would put him in his like a little older than me, like late 20s, maybe same as Michael, early 30s. He's definitely under 35. And I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, if anybody on the staff's gonna do it, and you can't have like a GA do it, you can't have like students do it or anything. So it's got to be somebody who actually gets paid. And, it's one of those unwritten duties in the job description, or not in the job description.
It's the duties as assigned.
Exactly.
That little disclaimer that they have for all of those job descriptions. But no, shout out to Matt John. Maybe that's how Fresno State got beat so bad that Colorado State.
They didn't know. Spygate. Oh, my God.
Oh, I just realized that sounds so bad in hindsight. But we'll talk about that a little later. But no, shout out to Matt John, just being able to just climb it. And it wasn't low. Like, it was higher, for those of you that can watch, it's higher than the ceilings, like outside trying to cover the cameras. So that was pretty fun to see. Obviously, Jason Elam was in attendance. Shout out to Jason Elam. And, of course, Kansei Matsuzawa, who now holds the record for consecutive field goals made. Jason Elam, I had no idea this was literally his first UH football game ever following his playing career, of course, but he had never been back. Now, we know he was kind of busy on the weekends when he was in the NFL, and then he had family life. I think he said he has 6 kids living in Alaska.
Dude, I was like, whoa.
I think Rich Miano mentioned on the Spectrum broadcast that he is a pilot. Like, I guess he flies planes in Alaska, too.
He has a lot of different, like,
he kind of does a lot out there. So, but kudos.
Side quests.
Yeah. Shout out to Jason Elam for making his way out there, actually. And shout out to this is the photo. Shout out Brian Bautista, who was up there taking photos for us as well. So this is a photo for those of you watching on YouTube. You have Kansei Matsuzawa, the new consecutive field goal record holder, and of course Jason Elam, who was wearing a Kansei t-shirt, the one with the kanji. And I also wanted to put up there because, if there's one unit that's it's so hard to pick one, but if I had to pick one, I had to use this photo as well because obviously Kansei setting the record, but I had to put Jeff Reinbold and that defensive line because my goodness, they were just wrecking shop. 6 sacks, 6 Hawaii sacks, and of course, shout out to the offensive line as well. This was like a trenches game. The offensive line kept Micah clean. To his credit, Micah, of course, it just is the scrambling master. Don't scare us too much, please.
Yeah, please relax a little bit.
0 sacks allowed on Micah Alejado and 6 sacks by this defensive line. And they, like I said, I almost feel like saying that they were wrecking shop was an understatement. Like, one of those, and we talk about a lot of times you want you don't always want your name called in certain situations, but my gosh, you couldn't help but just singing the praises all game long of the guys in the trenches in this game. Like they were incredible. And they go out there and they work their butts off time in and time out again. And they're kind of like the group that doesn't have the big highlights, right? You had obviously the receivers have a big game and you got to score a touchdown over 30 points to win apparently at Colorado State.
Shoo.
But I want to just totally highlight those guys in the trenches because my goodness, they were so like when I was watching the game, Mac, I almost had just as much fun watching the guys in the trenches go to work as much as I did the offense and the firepower that they have. And that's why I was like, I want to make sure I credit them a lot because usually you don't feel that way after you watch a game. But man, those guys in the trenches were getting me just as fired up as we saw this offense.
They were awesome. Season high 6 sacks in this one. Jackie Johnson with 1.5 sacks. Tariq Jones, Showtime, they call him. It's career high 2 sacks for him. He was great. I'm missing one. Who was the defensive tackle? We have so many great defensive tackles. I'm trying to remember if it was Dejon Benton
or Dejon Benton.
It was Luther McCoy.
Things. Oh, Luther McCoy,
which is another incredibly great defensive tackle. And that's kind of the thing is Jeff Reinbold has pieced together just an awesome group of bodies who will give you maximum effort for every snap that they're out there. And he's got like 6 or 7 or 8 guys who will just continue to go, and it's been impressive to watch. They deserve all of the credit in the world. The big guys in the trenches on our side also deserve the credit, as you mentioned before. That's what it takes to win on the road. That's an impressive showing. And man, oh man, I can't stop laughing because Jeff Reinbold, I don't know, thinking about the size of Jeff Reinbold next to all of these like massive defensive linemen. Because everything else about Reinbold is like old ball coach. So you'd like believe it. But then I'm like, I would never be like, yeah, D-line. But he's so good at it. He gets the most out of these guys.
At least Coach Pu'u Robinson is more, he
looks like a
tall.
D-end.
He slimmed down a bit, but like he's like very, very tall now. And he was getting fired up at the officials because there were some questionable non-calls on his guys. So he was fired up like... He was giving the biggest like stink eyes to the officials walking out on the field trying to check on his players, right? And I was getting all mad. Like he was getting me fired up watching Coach Jordan Pu'u Robinson because, yeah, it's like those guys were getting just like pushed over, ran like.
You got to protect your guys.
Come on, like. But as we always say, call it equally on both sides. And you know what? They were missing calls on both sides, so. There's only so much we can complain about. Obviously, yes, if you're the coach, you want to protect the guys. You always want to make sure you come out healthy because that's the key, right? Like offensively, we talked about it before. It's like seeing this offensive unit. Now, no Brandon White, but other than that, it's like seeing them completely healthy. We saw Nick Senecal get his first touchdown of the this season. There were all many good things to go around. We do need to take a break, though. When we come back, we will get into more of the actual like play-by-play takeaways. Now that we kind of did the celebration part, which we'll continue to do, but I know you guys want to actually hear some of the analysis and play-by-play stuff. So when we come back, we'll get to some of our key takeaways and some of the specifics of that game on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Agbayani on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Welcome back to Wake Up in the Den. Kule Agbayani and Paul Brecht on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network. Show your pom-poms. 95.1 FM, AM 760.
I wasn't fading the wrong.
HawaiiSportsRadio.com. And of course, streaming live on our YouTube channel. Thank you for joining and hanging out with us on this Monday morning party, celebrating Hawaii's bowl eligibility following their 31-19 win at Colorado State. Now they're heading into a bye week, so we have to wait another couple of weeks till our next football game, which they will go back on the road to play at San Jose State. And again, we'll get into some of the other results from the Mountain West and take a look at the standings and the futures market, which is actually pretty interesting to see where Hawaii is now to win the Mountain West Championship. But no, I want to go back to that game and look at some of these stats and analysis and takeaways from that. Again, Hawaii 31-19 over at Colorado State. Total yards, over 400. Burger once again, 435 total offensive yards, just over 300 passing yards, and over 100 rushing yards with 134. And obviously that's net yardage too. But held, and we talk about the defense, and this defensive unit held, that defensive line and company held Colorado State to less than 100 rushing yards, at 85 to be exact. And again, we talk about penalties. Look at this, Paul. Hawaii just 3 penalties for 23 yards, and on Colorado State side, the 5 penalties for 51 yards. A lot of them kind of reminiscent to what we were used to seeing our guys do before in the past few seasons. But the last few games have just been incredible when it comes to being really disciplined there. First downs, Hawaii with 19, third down conversions, 7 for 14, and they were 1 of 1 for their fourth down conversions. And of course, time of possession, Hawaii almost 10 minutes more than Colorado State, being able to take care of the football. Now, I know it wasn't perfect. Like we mentioned, there it was that brutal interception that was like, oh my goodness, what is going on? And I know
Did get lucky on another one too that could have been a pick.
The punt return for the touchdown for Colorado State's first touchdown of the game, and what almost seemed like it was going to be their only touchdown of the game for a little while. But it was just an unfortunate one to have in. Javin Kennard, he's a stud, he's an athlete. 91-yard punt return to end that first quarter. And then I know Rich Miano said it on the broadcast where it's like, yeah, some might say you outkick your coverage. But I know for me, I was like, there were so many missed tackles that you were counting along the way. And of course, we hope all the best for Aliko Kavaka Amoy, who he looks like somebody that would have been someone to tackle, but he went down similar to how we saw with Jarvis Heimuli, where he was in position to make a tackle, but looks like some type of lower leg injury. So went down on that, and that kind of was the beginning of the rest of that punt return. But luckily Hawaii able to answer back quite quickly following that. So again, hopefully Alika's going to be okay and wish him all the best. But just that was something I know it was like, oh, daggers to the heart because special teams for the most part, especially obviously we talk about the kicking game all the time. We haven't seen anything crazy. I know we saw the Billy Gowers thing, but for the most part, they've been able to stop things on special teams, and that was. Whew,
for the most part, like we've had 3 notable moments on special teams, like negatively notable moments. The first play of the season, which I'm willing to forgive, that. And I guess the Dino injury return, like realistically, special teams, albeit boring this year, like they've done their job in pretty much every facet that you could ask them to. So I'm not going to hold it too much against them, especially because the team did respond, like you said. And that's part of the reason why this is a party, and that's part of the reason why we're talking about a 6-2 Rainbow Warrior team. Is we've seen in previous seasons a team who isn't always apt to respond in those moments, or a team who it takes a little bit longer to lift themselves off the mat. And this time you have a team full of guys picking up each other. Jackson Harris with an incredible, and I mean an incredible catch,
my gosh,
he snags it out of the air with one hand, one of Micah's worst throws of the day, and it ends up being a 75-yard touchdown. Works his way, weaving through the defense, and it was an outstanding play. And from there, it really was Hawaii not looking back. The defense played just their tails off from start to almost finish. They gave us a little worry right towards the end, but they end up forcing a turnover of their own once again. Another punch out for a fumble recovery that kind of makes up for the interception that Micah throws for, and you said it again. They've won the time of possession battle. They went 7 of 14 on third down on the road, by the way, in front of 30,000 fans. This was homecoming for Colorado State. This was not an easy environment to play in by any stretch. And Hawaii came out and just really did everything you could ask them to do on the road. It's an impressive streak of 3 games. And now you get a bye week to rest up and hopefully push it to 4 and go even further.
Yeah, and Hawaii, we talk about checking off the boxes, and a lot of instances to check off wins. We've been mentioning it, I feel like, even that Air Force game maybe where you got to score first. And Hawaii's been able to do that in these games, right? Like Hawaii scored first this time around. I mean, it was
Sets
kind of interesting. Yeah, it was interesting because one of those penalties, when we talk about the 3 penalties, actually may have helped Hawaii in that first touchdown drive because Colorado State, to their credit, you did see them bring the pressure really early. Micah was scrambling a lot for his life, and again, a credit to the offensive line for keeping as clean as possible. But you could tell that, all right, Colorado State, they are bringing that pressure that we thought they would, hence why they had like a safety that was leading them in sacks. But got a nice completion to Cam Barfield to get into the red zone, get as close as what it was like the 2-yard line.
My guy Cam Barfield continuing to come on.
Got as close as like the 2-yard line because of that CSU penalty, and then then Hawaii had the offensive pass interference to back them up 15 yards. Which, if you're a pass-heavy team, that actually
it doesn't hurt you all the time.
Yeah, it bodes well to your favor because you have more room. And sure enough, they were able to spread the field out some more. And Nick Senecal, for his first touchdown of the season, was able to be wide open in the middle. And I had to chuckle after that first touchdown because normally, you're like, why are we penalty? Offensive, what are we doing? And then you're like, wait a minute. This might actually help a pass-heavy team because when you are, and I get it, we have Cam, we have Landon Sims that is essentially like a fullback that can punch it in with 2 yards or whatnot, but you don't worry as much when you get backed up, but still remaining in a goal-scoring territory when you have this type of offense. And sure enough, Hawaii able to capitalize it after being penalized and being pushed back 15 yards. It was like, all right, that's cool, no problem. Let's just gonna give it to our guy Nick Senecal, and he's gonna get it in there. And then before that, with that, it was like the celebration part. And again, then it was because that was when the return for the touchdown happened, but then Hawaii answers back right away to Jackson Harris, and like you mentioned, that catch, that one-handed catch, and like you said, Mike Alejado, not the best throw.
Check these wide receivers for stickum on their gloves because he's not the only one. Tama Uliata had an incredible one-handed catch earlier in the year. Pafele Ashlock has had a few. There have been some outstanding snags from Hawaii receivers this year. It's incredible, the depth. And you bring up Nick Senecal scoring his first touchdown. I sit here and I think about just how high the ceiling can be for this Hawaii offense going down the stretch. We saw Brandon White start to come on before, unfortunately, suffering a concussion, missed this past weekend. And it's another reason why the bye week is nice. But Nick Senecal, after missing 4 weeks and having to kind of work himself back into game shape and get back into rhythm with Micah Alejado, how big could that be for the offense where you already see Pafele Ashlock and Micah Alejado clicking week over week? You've seen Jackson Harris become a breakout star. I mean, he is an all-conference receiver, maybe? Mm-hmm. At this point in the year, is that fair to say? I'd have to look at the stats for everybody else, but I mean, he has in a way been every bit as good as Pafele. Pafele had a 3-touchdown game, and that's kind of what separates them on their overall season statistics right now. And Nick Senecal, we know, can be phenomenal. So I sit here and the ceiling of this room can be so much higher. And that was what my thought was as soon as I see Nick Senecal. I'm like, oh, his first touchdown of the year, he was hurt. We're only going to see him get better. It's so exciting.
Yeah, and then going back over, like, ending that first half and giving credit back over to the defense, right? Because Colorado State, they were starting to move the football in that final drive of the first half. And then even after they had like a offensive pass interference, but then the defense comes up big again, hard tackle, pops out the football. Shout out Jalen Smith for forcing that fumble and then recovered by Jackie Johnson at the UH-41.
Big day
and
for
it was
Jackie
like,
Johnson.
But again, you were starting to kind of Colorado State was getting that momentum on that drive, and then defense comes up with a massive stop because the way they were moving the football at that point, you're like, all right, by the time they had a lot of time to still punch it into the end zone by the time the first half ended, and the defense just came up huge. And then on the flip side, Hawaii gets the ball back, uses like a few possession, try to go deep. But I was getting so nervous when they kept showing Kansei because this would have been like a 50 play.
No.
I was like, I kept yelling at the screen.
Legitimately rooting
and I texted
against.
you guys. I'm like, do not do this to Kansei.
I
Like,
was
stop.
sitting there. I'm like, either
Please
take the sack and like go into halftime or hit the big play and score a touchdown or make it a chip shot. Do not do like a 55-yarder for the No. I would have been horrible. Horrible.
Because, and of course, Spectrum's going to do that, but
Yeah, they have to.
Kansei was warming up, and there was a point where it looked like he was going to jog on the field. I'm like, no. Let's not just do this. Please do not do this. And I get it. Kansei, he's like, I can make it. He has that confidence to make it.
He's got the confidence.
I believe he has the capability and ability to make it,
but
please don't stress
force
it out like that. And this wasn't this wasn't the end of a game winner, or let's go up to tie it situation. This was hey, we look good in the first half. Let's just take it into halftime.
Yep.
If Micah and the offense can't get us a little closer, we're good. And that's just the way it should go.
It was so funny.
Fortunately, he did not have to do that.
I do want to build off your point, though, about the defense forcing a fumble late in that second quarter when Colorado State's offense started to figure things out. That kind of goes back to what we were saying before about why this team is a bit different, and it's because they step up to the plate when the game asks them to. And I said it before where 7-7 after that punt return touchdown and the breakdown in the coverage, a lot of teams or teams of past Hawaii years, you would have seen them kind of fall apart. And I mean, in past years, you would have seen teams go and have that game scoring or game tying drive right before halftime. It's like these little things in the big moments of games that ultimately you look back on when it's all said and done. Not every single game is just won on a game-winning drive in the fourth quarter or because you're able to score late. It's because you're able to answer. And it goes all the way to the Cam Barfield touchdown in the fourth quarter where, I mean, Colorado State started to figure things out and started to come on late. And when Hawaii needed an answer once again, 4th and 1, the coaching staff had the guts to go for it. They're saying, we're going for the kill shot. We're trying to finish this game. Like, they step up to the moment, and it's such a difference between previous years to now, and it's a big reason why this is the earliest a Hawaii team has clinched a bowl since a pretty magical year.
All right, we got to take a break. When we come back, there is still... It's so crazy because I was like, "Oh, can we really talk about like Hawaii football this month?"
Yeah. There was never a doubt in my mind.
There's still like a lot of notes that I have to get into from that game. So we're going to continue more of recapping Hawaii's massive win at Colorado State again, 31-19 over the Rams, and have the week off, have a bye week, and then go back on the road next week Saturday to play at San Jose State. But there's still a little bit more to take away from this past game, and then also want to start getting into some of the other results that happened in the Mountain West and where Hawaii could potentially finish, and what is the biggest game and most worrisome game, at least in terms of media and when we look at some of the analytics and everything like that, with the game that we have tabbed as the biggest concern, which isn't a surprise because we talked about it before. But we got a whole bunch more of UH football talk to continue on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Back to more Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ulei Agbayani on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Forget everything that you thought you knew. I do things better, you know I do.
Welcome back to all of you, the beautiful list of all the beautiful people. It's Wake Up in the Den. I'm Ku'ulei Agbayani alongside Paul Brecht on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM, AM 760, hawaiisportsradio.com, and streaming live on our YouTube channel. As you can see, our pom-pom party that we have going on. We told you guys last week, Monday, that should Hawaii win, we will have our pom-pom party. And Paul even we got the double pom-pom party as well. Paul has pom-poms in hand. I told you guys I would bring it for him, and he is rocking the pom-poms as well, celebrating this massive University of Hawaii football win to punch their ticket into a bowl game, which now it feels like the consolation prize at this point, considering how good this team has been playing so far.
It's the floor.
That we have this bigger aspiration of making it to the Mountain West Championship game and winning the Mountain West Championship game, which if they do, they would have to be in another bowl game that would not be the Hawaii Bowl. I mean, there would have to be some massive talks if they were going to keep Hawaii in the Hawaii Bowl, but that's potentially not going to happen. And that's a problem we're okay to deal with if that ever comes. That's a good problem for us Hawaii fans to have.
It's a great problem to have.
We wouldn't mind having that problem.
Hawaii football is in high demand nationally.
And not in the Hawaii Bowl.
No. And I do understand. Like, believe me, I understand, especially this team wanting to give the home fans one more chance to see them and all of those things. But if this team has an opportunity to play in a bigger name bowl and the opportunities that can bring monetarily, I mean, brand-wise, I'm very excited for where Hawaii can get if they continue to take care of business. But that is a big if. It's a big if. There are still pretty big games coming up on the schedule, but the Mountain West, to its credit, is wide open after, 4 weeks of conference play?
And we still got a lot more to go. Shout out Colin for saying pom-pom Paul in the chat. Feel free to chime in on the live chat. I know our Michael Liscarroll is in there too. And you guys can text us at 808-888-KG1. That's 5481. Shout out to my parents as well. They said they are joining in on the pom-pom party too. So
I love them.
we all got our pom-pom parties on this Victory Monday for the University of Hawaii football team getting into that bowl game. I still want to get into some of these specifics and some of my notes and takeaways from that game and that massive win at Colorado State. We were talking about Nick Senecal and Jackson Harris, obviously massive games. But I do want to make sure we mention Carson Pupunu because I'm going to use air quotes in this, only had 5 catches for 75 yards, but they were significant catches. If you guys watched that game, he came up huge when it mattered. So Carson Pupunu, I mean, he just continues, and he continues to be one of the main targets as well for Micah Alihado. So I just want to make sure we give him his flowers because he looked like he was doing everything that needed to be done and asked of him in that game at Colorado State. And then also we talk about, we were mentioning earlier, and we've mentioned this before, that this team feels different because they aren't doing things that we've seen them do in the past, like these unnecessary penalties or just not being able to answer back from adversity during games. And then sometimes we don't really see them play complete games or play complimentary football. We've seen that. But another example of them continuing to play a complete game, I mean, they came out of that halftime and had that 8-play, 65-yard drive for that first touchdown in the second half, right? Their opening drive of the half to go up 21-7, and then defense gets the 3 and out right after that, right? So it's like they come out of the halftime and they're still ready to rock and roll and continue that momentum that they have in the first half, where we've seen in the past that's something that they've struggled with. So this is all of these things that I want to mention and say why there's so much confidence in this team where it doesn't feel like, oh yeah, maybe we're getting lucky or whatever, right? Oh, there's just the other team is just bad or blah, blah, blah. It's like all these little things, these things that
team.
Yeah, these things they used to struggle with in the past, they have proven, right? It's now, it wasn't just one game. It wasn't a fluke. It continues to be these consecutive games that they are doing all of these things. And that is why we're having all this more confidence in the fact that they are likely to be able to get into the Mountain West Championship, or at least very much be in that conversation. Now, a lot more games and a lot, I guess, at least on paper, more difficult opponents that are coming up here. But this is why, like, when we have the celebratory Mondays, is because we are right there, and the confidence that we have in this team remains very, very high because of all of these things that they have been able to do that we haven't been used to in the past.
I'm just very excited to watch a complete football team in a lot of different ways, where you have an offense that can pick up your defense. You have a defense that steps to the plate. And one thing about this 3-game win streak as well is that it's come in different ways against different teams, against different calibers of opponents as well. And sometimes you see teams, their play fluctuates, right? You go up and down, and some people say that that's playing to the level of your opponent, right? And yeah, you can argue that Hawaii does that in some senses at some times, but I would also argue that a lot of the time Hawaii goes out and just outplays teams when they're winning football games. And it has been impressive to watch the growth of a overall young unit, because obviously you have a redshirt freshman leading you at quarterback, but elsewhere, I mean, you're talking about Jemai Otis as a junior as the loudest voice on your defense. You have a lot of young guys stepping up and making impacts. Tama Uliata as a redshirt freshman as well, just doing a lot, whether it's special teams. He's forced his way into a rotation there. It feels different because it is different, and that's really what's been cool about this season so far, and it's why we have the confidence that we do, that this is a team who can compete and make it so that you're playing in games that legitimately matter into November, because it's been a long time since Hawaii has been in that conversation. I mean, half a decade since pre-COVID, and that's really kind of just where everything changes anyway. It's a new era of college football. For Hawaii to be in this conversation, it's a new feeling because it is a new feeling.
Yeah, and I want to also go back to make sure we mention it once again. Obviously, one of the major things that happened in that second half and that the third quarter. Shout out again to Kansei Matsuzawa.
Woo!
27-yard field goal for Kansei to break
That was what I was hoping for, by the way.
27 yards. We're like, all right, here we go. Kansei is going to go there.
Basically a glorified extra point for my boy, you know?
But you know what's funny is because aside from that scare that we had in the first half that he was going to have to kick like a 50-plus yarder to break the record, and I texted you guys, I was like, are we going to not get a Kansei attempt at a field goal at this point? And we were close. This was the
Would
only
be a little funny.
This was the only field goal he took in the game, the only attempt he had, and luckily he nailed it because then he broke the record again, 27-yarder, only field goal of the game, and that's why it was kind of funny. Like, wow, he almost didn't kick any. Obviously, the former record holder Jason Elam in attendance there, and Jason Elam, to his credit, was very ecstatic for Kansei, and I think that shows a lot of himself. I know we had a texter last week that mentioned like, wow, it doesn't seem like Jason Elam likes to represent the University of Hawaii that much anymore in his life now. I think he made up for all of that by showing up to that Colorado State game, knowing that his record was going to be broken, wearing Kansei Matsuzawa's shirt, meeting Kansei at the end of the game, and being on the Spectrum broadcast, just talking about how happy he was for Kansei and to see this and to just talk about how this, emphasize the fact that this is not easy there's a reason why this record hasn't been broken since, right? Like, this isn't something easy to do. Jason Elam also like reuniting with his former teammates and Travis Sims, the father of Landon Sims, currently on the team, John Veneri as well. And he mentioned, because I know the Spectrum broadcast asked him just what Jason Elam notices about Kansei, and he was very adamant about the fact that Kansei has a nice swing. Like, I guess his mechanics, like what Kansei has been working on this entire time. Elam, a former NFL kicker, can see that, and he was giving a lot of praise to Kansei on just his technique and the way, like, that's what he kept referring it to it. He has a good swing. He has a great swing, and that's the way that he kept calling it. So I think all around that was very huge, where it's almost like a passing of the guard. Now it's the new record that Kansei Matsuzawa has, and it's only going to potentially increase. Right now, the pressure is off in a sense, where you got over the hump of breaking the program record. Now it's just continuing to add to that, almost similar to when we talk about, if I put it in NBA terms, like when Steph Curry broke Ray Allen's like 3-point record, and you're like, well, he's still got a lot of more games to play, so they're just going to keep on adding to that. So Kansei, to his credit, has just been phenomenal, and I thought that was such a cool full circle moment at the game that Jason Elam himself could be there and was just so welcoming about his record being broken, and he praised Kansei so much. And I thought I wanted to make sure we talked about that a little bit more, because it just goes to show not only like the program that we have right now and the players right now, but how the previous players just continue to be supportive and come back and support when it is right. Like, because he could have not showed up, but I thought that was very cool of him to come, to be on the broadcast, to talk about how cool it was for Kansei to break his record. And then, of course, the ending of the game, which we have photos of on our social media as well, where you can see the interaction and them meeting each other, which was really cool.
He was awesome. Like, he just a really genuine dude. I think it's tough to hold it against him when he lives in Alaska.
With 6 kids.
To be like, hey, why don't you come to the UH stuff more? Especially because something I think fans were kind of frustrated about was UH alumni, and obviously he's been long an alumni, and this is more of a recent issue that I've heard about. But, before Timmy, there was a little bit of almost a freeze out of alumni where it wasn't as welcoming home. So I won't fault him necessarily for that either. I also, by the way, I wonder if he stopped by the Denver Broncos game during the weekend, or if he had to go directly back to back home.
That's interesting.
Well, the reason I bring it up is because Ring of Fame, he's part of the Broncos Ring of Fame, as well as the Circle of Honor here at UH. And I wonder if it just so happened, and it was lucky that it lined up where UH out in Colorado this weekend, and then this weekend the Denver Broncos honoring the life of the late Demaryius Thomas, and also had, I think, the biggest collection of Denver Broncos alumni together ever, where they brought together the Super Bowl 50 team, and they had their Ring of Famers come together. So I wonder if he got an opportunity to stop by that as well, where it just so happened that things kind of lined up where he was able to see that. But no, he was very, very genuine. It was cool to see how excited he was for Kansei Matsuzawa, all the background, the pictures, all that stuff, like you said, on social media. It's pretty incredible.
One thing before we go to break, though, I did want to make sure we mention this as we were talking about our defense. And I forgot to put this up in our graphic, so I'm going to kind of show it on the phone up against the camera, because we mentioned this last week when we were talking about the Utah State game here at home, and I was like, man, Dennis Thurman was like, he just skedaddled out of there so fast. And you guys, this was awesome. Like, the Spectrum broadcast.
What a genuine
Dennis
smile.
Thurman, DT, the guy that always has the serious face. Oh, I'm getting text message now. Serious face on. He had a massive smile on his face.
The greatest
it was
smile.
So awesome, like, to see him. And this is just a screen grab from the broadcast, and he's like hugging Jeff Reinbold right after this, and to see him that joyful, and to know that he was proud of his guys, because he wasn't exactly that proud. There was a lot of stuff that he was disappointed with in the Utah State game, hence why he was but to see DT have that genuine smile, massive smile on his face, I was like, all right, we can all be pleased with what we saw, because the guy that's hard to please, he seems to be fine.
He seems happy. If DT's happy, I'm happy.
Yeah.
And I was more than happy with the defense this past Saturday.
So I needed to make sure to share that. All right, we got to take a break. We'll be back to close out hour number 1 on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ulei Agbayani on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Welcome back to Wake Up in the Den. Ku'ulei Agbayani and Paul Brecht on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM, AM 760, hawaiisportsradio.com, and streaming live on our YouTube channel this and every Monday. Thank you guys for hanging out with us every weekday morning from 8 to 10. And of course, Mondays on our YouTube. Feel free to text in or chime in on the live chat. We did get a text earlier when we were talking just about the discipline on this team. Our friend up in Boise, who hopefully we might be having to make a trek there for the Mountain West Championship. We will see. But he texted in, even the best Jones or Rolovich teams were not very disciplined. This is great to see. Exactly. I don't think we should downplay that whatsoever, because the fact that they've been able to keep those penalties down.
Winning teams don't get penalized.
And like I said, that one penalty for 15 yards ended up resulting in a touchdown.
Yeah,
So it was like,
we were playing chess.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
play checkers, we play chess.
we're
They
giving that
play
penalty.
little boy football, we play big man football. That's what it is.
Exactly what happened is that they planned it that way. They knew they were going to score if they were moved back 15 yards away from the end zone or 15 more yards away. And that's what happened. Let's see. We only have a couple of minutes left. So, all right, we'll mention this real quick because I don't want to actually spend too much time about it. So since we only have a couple minutes left in this hour, we'll mention it. But every time we have a party, you have somebody that wants to poop on it. Oh my goodness. I'm talking about you, Lee Cataluna from the Civil Beat. My gosh. Everyone's having a party. And this is where you're kind of like, can you just stay in your lane? And I know it's a column. I know it's an opinion piece and all of that stuff. But
You know what they say about
sometimes
opinions.
you keep some opinions to yourself.
I don't want to say anything else about the opinions, but I don't mind. I don't pay much mind to this one because I thought it was ridiculous. And we'll talk about it or we won't talk about it.
Well, I'll just mention it real quick. It's from the Civil Beat, Lee Cataluna, who, by all accounts, is normally a pretty good journalist. And like I said, it's a column, a.k.a. opinion, not fact. But it's titled, Throw a Flag on This UH Football Marketing Ploy. Basically, she complains about what essentially she's saying that the University of Hawaii is ultimately exploiting Kansei Matsuzawa and the Japanese heritage by promoting him more and by putting the kanji on his jersey and making it sound like because Kansei did mention in a media scrum that, oh yeah, like that it's not a big deal to him. He might want English more, but in this case, context and tone is everything. Like Kansei is not like angry about it. He prefers one or the other. It's like if someone gave me a pizza and a cheeseburger, like I might want the cheeseburger more, but I'm not going to be mad about getting pizza. Like
It also doesn't matter.
it's like the why at this time where I'm like, just stay in your lane, Lee Cataluna. Like if there's any group of fan base that will get more angry than Swifties, it will be the UH football fan base when their team is winning and you want to come in and poo-poo on our party. And sure enough,
It's just ridiculous.
it was insane. Kansei is fine. And I honestly feel bad for Kansei because he's been getting all of this publicity as he should, but I know he is someone that, and I want to, Kansei, if you ever see this, do not feel bad for it because his personality and very Japanese culture, a lot of times it'll be like in
Yeah,
self-reflection
he doesn't-
first. He will feel bad for saying that when it wasn't a big deal, right? Like, and that's where I'm like, don't feel bad for saying that. And he already doesn't like, or not doesn't like, but is not as he can make 50-yard plus field goals and be less nervous about that than speaking in front of the media because English is his second language.
Correct.
And I was just very frustrated because I just don't want it to affect Kansei and him to feel bad for what he said. And this Lee Cataluna taking it way out, blowing it out of proportion as if he was saying that it was bad and he's like being exploited for all of this. Kansei is loving it. He left Japan because he wanted this life for himself and he has been managing it so phenomenally. And that part, like, that's why I don't want to spend too much time talking about it, but I had to call it out and call her out for it because A and B conversation, Cataluna, see your way out. Like, this doesn't concern you.
It was the most ridiculous conjecture and jargon and just malarkey that I have seen. It was very, very frustrating to see, read, and listen. I'll toss out clickbait with the best of them in terms of titles. I will never whore myself out for clicks like that. It's just whatever, man. Here's also my issue, and then I'll give it back and we'll go. Write something positive for once.
Yeah.
You don't have to always complain about everything, and that's the issue. Is like you said, poo-pooing on the party. For what? For what reason? What does this serve? What does this make you feel better? Did you talk to Kansei about any of this?
Did you talk to Kansei?
And the answer there is probably not.
And hey, Lee Cataluna and Civil Beat, where were you guys last year when I was all up in arms about actual student athletes complaining about stuff and Title IX issues where
Doesn't
they
get
were
the same
where they
clicks.
were passionate and they were very unhappy and felt like they were getting the short end of the stick. They were vocal about being unhappy. And where were you then? You didn't see anything. You didn't come to their defense. But no, when a guy that is having a good old party and the team's having a good old party, she didn't talk to Kansei. He's fine. He's loving it. And it's like, oh, well, wait a minute. How about if I say that? How about I speak for you and say that you're being exploited for money? And guess what, Lee Cataluna, in case you've been under a rock, which apparently you have been, college sports is about money, and both player and institutions are allowed to make money now. So this is just the game that we are, because that's part of the article. It's like, oh, they're making money off of him. I was like, yeah. And there are parties that are trying to find ways that he can get some of those monies because of the whole international visa thing. And it's like, again, A and B conversation, see your way out. We will see our way out of this hour, and we'll be right back for hour number 2 on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
to more Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ule Agbayani on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Wake Up in the Den. Welcome back to Wake Up in the Den, hour number 2. I'm Ku'ule Agbayani alongside Pom-Pom Paul on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM, AM 760, hawaiisportsradio.com, and streaming live on our YouTube channel this and every Monday. Thank you guys for hanging out and partying with us on this Victory Monday. Again, we've been talking a lot about UH's massive win on the road at Colorado State, 31-19, in which, to Paul's credit, I want to make sure we emphasize that, got to give Paul his flowers, that he did say that when Hawaii scores more than 30 points at Colorado State, that results in a victory. So, Cam Barfield got that for you, putting them over the hump.
It's only right that my guy comes through. My guy gets the dagger at the end. I've been on the Cam Barfield train since he got here. I've been waiting for the breakout, and he's been awesome this year. And that's something that I don't want to go unmentioned or unnoticed about this Hawaii team, is that the rushing attack very much so has come alive, which was not really something that I was counting on. And it's not because I don't think Landon Sims and Cam Barfield are talented players. It just, I wasn't sure they'd get legitimate opportunities. I wasn't sure about the blocking up front. And to its credit, the offensive line has gotten a lot better, I think. I think they've done a real nice job over the past few weeks, especially. The running backs do a great job on limited touches to get at least one explosive per game, it feels like, one rush of 15-plus yards. And on top of that, when you add in them being a weapon on top of what is already a really, really deep wide receiver room, man, oh man, it's hard not to score 30 points. So I was very, very glad that they eclipsed that number. I texted you guys that I fist pumped as he went over the goal line, because like I mentioned last week, Hawaii has not won in Colorado or at Colorado State without scoring 30 points since the 1980s. So I was very adamant that 30 points needed to be scored.
Ooh, and there you go. Well, we'll continue more conversation about that game. Actually, before we go to that, because I don't want to make sure I don't forget this thought when we get back into more UH football talk, because that final Cam Barfield conversation, I gave the praises a lot to the offensive and defensive line, but that final play, I mean, that hole that they put open for Cam.
Drive a Mack truck through it.
Boom. And then to Cam's credit, he laid out some dude and then just kept barreling through. But that, when you see the replay, because obviously in real time you're watching it from the side, so you don't see how massive of a puka that is. But then when they showed the replay, you're like, whoa. Yeah. And then Cam did what he needed to do and just pretty much lay out the guy attempting to tackle him, and then just went straight into the end zone. So all around, again, massive performance from the University of Hawaii. We'll get into more UH football talk, and then kind of take a look at what the Mountain West looks like, what the results were this past weekend, and even more so, it is wide open. The parity is insane this year, because even Boise State doesn't scare me as much as they did. I don't remember the last time they didn't scare me at this point. But they definitely don't scare me as much this year. But I do want to get into some NFL, and we actually did get a text about, something in the NFL, unfortunately for Paul.
Oh, God. Don't say it's about the Jets. Oh, no.
Are the Jets the new Browns? ? Where QB careers go to die. Also, they have another question, though. Also, should Brian Daboll, I guess he meant, be fired from the Giants? Blowing a lead like they did was incredible. It was. If there is any team that had probably the worst loss of the weekend, it would have to be the New York Giants. And because that was inexcusable. And at this point, and I know I texted you guys when we talked about Kansei, and their Giants kicker missed a couple of crucial kicks, and Kansei to the New York Giants, but Broncos putting up 33 points, all of their points, not just all of their points in the fourth quarter, but 33. It's one thing to be a low-scoring game, right? And then you put up 20 and then you win. 33 points is insane in the NFL in one quarter, in the final quarter, to go up and beat the New York Giants.
I feel bad because I do have Giants fan friends, and they were miserable. Because it's like at this point I'm numb to the Jets, where it's like whatever. The Giants, and the funny thing is the Giants have been equally as bad. They just have one fluke playoff appearance over the past 10 years that makes everybody forget that they have been as bad as the New York Jets. It's been a bad time to be a New York City, New Jersey area football fan. Anyway, are the Jets the new Browns? No, the Browns are still the new Browns. The Jets, unfortunately, are in their own category, which is either better or worse. Justin Fields also was just, I don't know. I don't think he was very good before he got to the Jets, and going to the Jets to try and figure out your career as a quarterback, it might be kind of what you're saying, where QB careers do end up going to die. Though, I don't know, Joe Flacco and Aaron Rodgers apparently both found the fountain of youth after leaving New York, so whatever. Should Dable be fired? I'm going to give him till the end of the year. Let them see, because I like what they're doing with Jackson Dart. I don't really love the idea of taking away a head coach right in the middle of a rookie's first year in the NFL. I think you give him the full year, especially because I don't really think the Giants are all that much of a true wild card contender. And they're definitely not going to win the AFC or the NFC East. So you go through the year, you hope he figures it out. You hope you see something between him, Jackson Dart, Cam Scatterbo, all that. And if not, well, beautiful thing is you can still fire him at the end of the year.
I tell you what, we hope that the Browns is not somewhere that quarterbacks go to die now, because our Dillon Gabriel is there, but maybe he'll have the luck.
Well, Caesar wants him to be a Packer.
Yeah, maybe he'll have the luck of the Browns, where once he goes to another team, he'll just be phenomenal. He'll level up his quarterback game once he starting off at the Browns, which seems to bode well, for people like Baker Mayfield as well. But Mililani High School, hey, shout out Trojans, getting the better
public school, baby. Come
better
on.
end of that Mililani St. Louis matchup that we saw this weekend between the Browns and other Hawaii-born quarterback Tua Tagovailoa. Again, the first time Hawaii-born quarterbacks have started the NFL games against each other, but the Cleveland Browns, man, they came out on top in that one, 31-6. And then when we talk about the coaches,
first time they eclipsed 17 points this season.
When we talk about coaches on the hot seat, I mean, I think it's Mike McDaniel.
I can't believe he's not fired
before Brian Daboll. What does Mike McDaniel have on the ownership group at Miami? Because
I legitimately figured
already.
he would be gone yesterday by 2:30 p.m. Hawaii time.
He is still there.
We actually, I won't show you guys, but in a group chat, we were taking bets on what time that we thought he would be fired, the announcement that the Dolphins would be moving on by. It'll actually come probably tomorrow. Maybe, it might come by noon today, Hawaii time. I think it's tomorrow. I don't see how they can keep going. When's their bye? That's the only thing, is if, the week they enter their bye, that feels more likely, because then you have kind of 2 weeks to give a new coach to take over.
He's kind of the epitome of what I mentioned when we had the conversation about whether or not there will be a female coach in the NFL. He's the epitome of what I mean, where if you're going to be a young coach, you got to have that spunk. And he's a little...
he was fun for a year.
Yeah.
He's a coordinator. He's just not a head coach.
Yeah.
I don't look at him and think that he can lead a locker room 53.
But that's what I mean. And you
men.
guys realize that already when things are getting in the dumps, he's starting to throw Tua under the bus, something you shouldn't do as a head coach either.
Tua's throwing everybody else under the bus.
But you're still the head coach.
You can see where both of them are getting it from.
But then there you go. There's the leadership trickle down effect, right? So he should be gone. I'd be surprised if he's still there, and we'll see. But anyways, I wanted to make sure we talk a little bit more about the winning side of that with the Cleveland Browns. Dillon Gabriel didn't exactly have he won the game. I still will give him credit for scoring those two. Yeah, he didn't lose the game. Still no turnovers for Dillon Gabriel, which is massive in the NFL, right? I mean, Tua Tagovailoa on his side threw 3 interceptions in that game, but Dillon able to play a pretty hey, don't give up the football. Don't give them any opportunities. 13 for 18 for 116 yards. Took a couple of sacks. But you can tell that he has very much the Mamba mentality. Job's not finished, because after that big win, again, his first win as an NFL starting quarterback, a very, just level-headed and monotone. So here's a little clip of that post-game with Dillon Gabriel.
What did it say about your football team that with all the things swirling around and you guys at 1-5 to pull together and come out and put together a performance like this today?
I don't know if anything was swirling around, but just on our end, I think just continuing to fight, continuing to claw and scratch to be a good football team. And we know that it's little plays here and there that adds up. But the attention to detail has to be at all-time high, and we understand that. But it does feel good to see the defense do what they do. Our run game continue to take strides in that way, and then just special teams making plays as well. We always talk about complementary football, but seeing us all come together is important and good to see.
What can you say about the fact that you've played clean ball, you haven't turned it over in any of your games, and then you also were able to use your legs to get out of some trouble today, and how do you feel like you're operating in those ways?
Yeah, I think you always want to expedite the process of being able to play at a certain level, but there is understanding of natural progression as well. But the process doesn't change. You're going to still fight to be at your best, but I think at small chunks we've learned how to slowly have chances to win, then finally go and win a game. That's something that we're all kind of molding together, but definitely proud of the guys and definitely want to continue to be good at the areas we're good at and improve on the areas that we need to. So that'll never change.
How excited or encouraged are you by the fact that you guys could come out here at 1-5, show that kind of grit and heart, put together a performance like this, and have something like this to build on?
Yeah, I don't want you to look at my expression and think I'm not excited, but I am very excited. I just also, it's important to build sustainability as well. So just going to build on that. I'm excited for the guys. There's a lot that we'll look back and it's good and in many areas, and there's a lot of things that you want to clean up. But I think that's what I'm excited most is guys are eager, guys want to be better, and when you look at the areas of improvement, it's encourage, and we always encourage that. But definitely, like I said, winning is fun for sure. Don't get that twisted.
Winning is fun for sure. And that was Brown's starting quarterback, Dillon Gabriel, again, former Mililani Trojan as well, getting that continues to be QB1 for the Cleveland Browns. But I just wanted to play that clip because, it's very jobs not finished mentality where it's just don't get it twisted. Winning is fun. But as he knows, and to his credit, I can appreciate that because it's not like you're undefeated in the season, right? You still have to win a lot more games to get yourself even remotely in any type of conversation for the postseason. So it's yay, we won, against a really bad team, yay. So I can appreciate where Dillon's coming from in the sense that, hey, now we're 2-5. Whoopee.
I think he likes winning. I think he also just has higher standards for himself. I think he would like to play better. I think he would like to put up better numbers. It's not about the numbers, but also he is playing for his job. He's playing for his career. He's playing for a franchise that has a quarterback now who is backing him up that a lot of fans are clamoring because they want to see for the first time if he's going to sink or swim. And that's to no fault of Dillon's, but it is life. It is reality. It is something that he does have to worry about. So I'm sure he is also thinking about yes, great, lovely, love winning, fantastic. Don't get it twisted. Winning is the most important thing. But also he understands that there is a slightly bigger game to all of this, and that is that he's playing for his career. He's trying to be a starter long-term in the league. This might be his only shot to hold on to it. He wants to play as well as he can. Yeah,
and their defense looked really good. Again, albeit Miami continues to be a team that's struggling. Tua Tagovailoa actually did get benched.
Who would lose to them?
Yeah, Tua Tagovailoa did get benched in the ending. I think it was about 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter for Quinn Ewers. So hopefully they can figure things out. But I 100% believe Mike McDaniel, he has to go. And I'm with you, Paul. I'm surprised.
It just feels like
Brian
sitting.
Daboll, to me, I'm in agreement with you. I think his leash is still a bit longer with Jackson Dart, and they've been starting to slowly find that success that they need. But Mike McDaniel, he's just the way that he, from how the results are to the way that he carries himself, and it's just not gonna. And he'll be great at being a coordinator. look at Matt Eberflus. My gosh, the Dallas Cowboys all of a sudden they look like annihilating the Washington Commanders 44-22. And I know Jaden Daniels got injured, so he left the game, and Marcus Mariota had a couple of questionable plays, but we will see. But for the most part, the Dallas Cowboys, that defense looks solid. And again, Eberflus, the experiment that was a head coach for the Chicago Bears, did not work, but it seems to be working out pretty well for Dallas so far as this NFL season goes along. And the same case can be made for Mike McDaniel, right? It just didn't. I mean, look at Saleh as well. Like, seems like things are working out.
I don't think I will. I don't think I will, actually.
I didn't mean to actually bring that up.
Yeah,
it's just
yeah,
I was
yeah.
thinking
Sure you
of,
didn't. Sure
I was
you
thinking
didn't.
of other coordinators that went back to being coordinators, and their team looks pretty good.
but that is kind of the thing, is that like a lot of times head coaches that fail or aren't good the first time, even Jeff Ulbrich, right, who was the interim head coach and was a disaster for the New York Jets to finish out last year. Atlanta Falcons, I shouldn't say this after this week, but the Atlanta Falcons, to their credit, have been a bit better, and their defense has been a bit better than I think a lot of people would have guessed. So sometimes people just aren't head coaches. Sometimes people are coordinators, and I think Mike McDaniel falls in that category. I think he was always on a hot seat entering this year. They got off to a poor start. At this point, it's not if he gets fired, it's when he gets fired, and I just don't see how they continue to go with him. Once again, it would have been a good time for me to look up when is Miami's bye week. I did not do that, though, so
shout out to our guy Colin, who is part of the unfortunate losing side in the NFL teams. The Chargers, I mentioned, it's the Kyle Galdera jinx. Kyle, in our quick pick, still does not believe in the Indianapolis Colts. And he mentioned last year he was not a believer in the Eagles, and they ended up winning the Super Bowl. And we joked about it last Friday during our quick pick segment because he picked against the Colts in this Chargers-Colts matchup. And he said, I just don't believe in the Colts. And I jokingly was like, all right, well, there is the reverse jinx from our Kyle Galdera, is like the Colts.
Daniel Jones,
the Colts seem to be doing all right so far this season, and if Kyle says they're not good, then maybe that's the Eagles' way. This is the new Eagles this year for Kyle Galdera, is like maybe they are good, and because the Chargers, you guys know that I'm a big fan of Justin Herbert. I think they're a solid team, and the Colts just have that defense, and Danny Dimes, the second coming of leaving the New York Giants, the other New York team, and being this incredible quarterback that apparently couldn't make it out there in New York, and now he's in Indy, and
by the way,
looks good.
Week 12 is the bye week for the Dolphins. They cannot wait that long.
They cannot wait that long. No.
I just don't. I don't. And you guys know me. I am not an advocate of like mid-season firings. I'm a big like, oh, what does it help? The vibes in Miami are just in the dirt. Sorry, I had to look it up because I brought it up twice now about when the bye was, and then I had the resources and just didn't do it.
All right, we got to take a break, way up against the clock. When we come back, we did see a lot of your text messages come through for UH football, so we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we will get back to more University of Hawaii football and get to some of your text messages. Feel free to text in at 808-888-5481. We'll be right back on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Who doesn't love a good pizza?
Back to more Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ule Agbayani on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
I feel like I had to get up for that song. Welcome back to all of you, the beautifulest of all the beautiful people. It's Wake Up in the Den. Ku'ule Agbayani and Paul Brex on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM, AM 760, hawaiisportsradio.com, and streaming live on our YouTube channel. This and every Monday morning. Thank you guys for hanging out with us every single weekday, though, and tuning in or on demand, wherever you get most podcasts. Tuning into our pom-pom party today. Again, we got the double pom-poms with Paul and myself, as I said we would, should Hawaii come out with that massive win on Saturday, which they did. And of course, they are bowl eligible now and all parts in between. Before we get into some of your text messages, I want to make sure that we mention, because we got a text. Probably our most important text to come in today, Paul. I have to make sure we mention, because need to give a shout out to women's basketball coach Laura Beeman, talking about it's a great weekend for UH football and let's go. A lot of exclamation points. So shout out to Coach Beeman. And of course, we want to remind all of you guys to go out and support the University of Hawaii Rainbow Wahine basketball team tomorrow night, Tuesday night, in the first time that you'll be able to go and see this new look Rainbow Wahine team. And again, Coach Beeman didn't want to call it a new era per se, but a changing of the guards, quite literally, is how we're referring to it.
It's actually really funny. Yeah. I like that.
So changing of the guards.
Makes my writer heart happy, actually.
We're going to use that, huh? So be sure to go out and support them. Exhibition game tomorrow. Free admission for you guys at 7 o'clock p.m. And you guys better go, because it's Paul's birthday actually tomorrow. And Paul says that he is going to go to the game tomorrow as well. On his birthday, he's going to spend his birthday evening at the stand and watching this Rainbow Wahine team in their first game of the season. Of course, exhibition, but nonetheless, got to go. They're going to try to win and try to see what they have in front of them. So tomorrow, 7 o'clock p.m., free admission. We hope to see you guys there. But again, Paul's going to be there, even though it's his birthday.
I mean, you do know the story about my birthday, right? I'm born October 21st, 1999, and my dad was a girls' varsity basketball coach. So I went directly from the hospital to girls' varsity basketball practice. That was the story, and I was born directly into basketball season. So of course it'd only be right for me to continue celebrating my birthday by going and enjoying some women's basketball. And this one, a really exciting opportunity to get true first eyes on the Rainbow Wahine in a different, I love practice as much as the next person and this, that, and the other thing. But there's something about actually seeing game reps, being able to see game speed, and just seeing a lot of really, really talented new players on this roster for the first time. So, yes, I will be out there. Hope to see you guys there. I don't know if I'll bring anybody with me, but, I'll probably end up just taking it as a work night. But, whatever, it's going to be a good time.
And then next week, Tuesday, they will play the other team that we cover here in HPU for an exhibition game that you'll be able to listen to as well on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network. So we're excited for basketball season underway. But man, the vibes are high. Again, you have all this support. I know everybody loves to see the football program succeed. Again, Coach Beeman saying yes, great win for UH football. The vibes are high. I know last week, Monday, we got a text that man, it feels so good to go to work on this Monday following a UH football win and a bowl eligible UH football team at that.
When we talk about professional sports and it's better for the sport when X team is good, whether the Dodgers or the Knicks or whatever, the big market type of thing. It is better for UH athletics when Hawaii football is winning and is good, because when those vibes are good, they start to, continue on into basketball season. And then you have a winning program like the Rainbow Wahine. You have a reloaded men's basketball team. You continue to go on. You see the winning ways into that. You bring us into the new year. You got the men's volleyball team. The good vibes keep on rolling. And when the football team sets the tone like that, it just feels like it's a party every single week.
I know. It feels so warm inside. I just can't believe I mean, I can believe, but we at least get one more game. And to know that we have one more game this early on in the season is so crazy to me. But we have at least one more game after the regular season is PAL, with that being the Hawaii Bowl for sure. But the vibes and the optimism is very high, where it's starting to feel more and more like this is going to be a consolation prize to be in the Hawaii Bowl, which is so wild to think of. Because I never...
Well, especially considering where we were even a year ago.
That's the thing. We were optimistic, as we always are, heading into every season of all sports, because we're media that wants to be positive until they give us reason not to be. So our optimism, we're always positive going into seasons until we see what they put out there. Like, I don't even think as optimistic as we were, because we tabbed it. When I was in Vegas, I put money on the over of 6.5 wins. One more win, guys. And
cash and checks.
Auntie gets to cash that ticket in Vegas. Yeah, if they hit it before we have to go to UNLV,
Boy,
then I get to cash that ticket.
Oh, that would rock so much. Come on.
But I felt like, all right, they can at least win, the 6 or 7 to get into a bowl game. But I don't think I was realistically this optimistic about the fact that they could win a Mountain West championship game. Like, we were like, we could compete for kind of the top 4.
I don't even think I was that optimistic.
We're going to make it into a bowl game. Like, this team is going to be good, but we have to see the product they put on the football field first and what they have done these last few games. My goodness. Like, this is why we have this optimism that, we can actually, we are hands down feel like we can compete for the conversation that we are one of the teams that could make it into the Mountain West championship game. Again, it's top 2. They got rid of the divisions, and now it's just straight up top 2 in the Mountain West will compete, and the home team will be the number 1 in the Mountain West for the regular season that will host the Mountain West championship game. But man, if they continue to play this type of complimentary football, limiting their own mistakes, being so well disciplined, offense clicking more and more, running game that gets going, because we see when the pass game is going, it opens up the run game that much more. And when you have people like Landon Sims and Cam Barfield that can pummel their way through like that, why not us, Paul? Why not us?
Thank you, Russell Westbrook. No, agreed. I think if we go back, I'm pretty sure my not pie in the sky, but my positive Paul prediction was I think this is an 8-4 team. I think 8 wins was kind of where I was I see this team getting to that level of a ceiling. I didn't really see higher than that just because I assumed growing pains. I didn't assume they'd be this good on the road because we've seen, and it's not just a Timmy Chang thing. Hawaii teams, regardless of sport, regardless of era, it seems always struggle on the road. So to see them win 2 games in a row on the road, especially in Colorado where you have the elevation, you have the altitude and all of these things, they're doing things that I did take into account but assumed the worst case scenario for, even while planning for the ceiling, the pie in the sky. And, to get to 8-4, that would mean they go 2-2 over their final 4 games here. And that is very realistic, by the way. It is a legitimate chance that they do that and still be a very successful season. But I think the credit to them is the fact that they have us believing that they have the actual chance to go win the whole Mountain West. That they actually have instilled the confidence that 2-2 almost feels like the floor at this point.
It almost feels like, we're going to be sad. Where normally you'd be like, bowl game, we're so happy. But it's now if we don't even make it to the Mountain West Championship game, that hurts my soul.
and obviously there are things that need to be done. You got to beat San Diego State. You got to beat UNLV. But they've given themselves the opportunity to control their own destiny in a lot of different ways. And that's assuming Fresno State loses another game. But with only 1 loss in Mountain West play, you have an opportunity to run the table here and set up a meeting against Boise State in the championship or against whoever it may end up being in the championship. But, you don't have the Broncos on your schedule. You don't have to go to the blue turf and try and beat them there so that you can clinch a spot in the Mountain West Championship. And UNLV is a really hard place to play, but we talk about it being the 9th island. There's a good chance you're going to get a good representation of Hawaii fans there. And if you come out and do what you've continued to do over these past few weeks, which is get off to a hot start, get a stop defensively, score on your first possession. Think about how much that place can get rocking in Hawaii's favor. And UNLV, to their credit, is a team that is not just going to let go of the rope early on. But if Hawaii can make that not feel like as much of a road game, you feel really good about their chances of winning at home versus Wyoming. San Jose State will be tough enough as it is, but you get San Diego State at your home turf, you prefer to have that matchup and one of your two harder matchups, at least in the friendly confines of TC Cheng.
I want to get into some of the text messages because I said I would. Let's see. It says, what's funny is that CSU has great facilities and a nice stadium, but didn't translate to wins for Norvell. Imagine if Timmy had the facilities and the new stadium. And that's something that we've been talking about a lot, is that's why we will continue to give Timmy Chang and this coaching staff all this credit and their flowers, and how I keep saying that, yeah, it's his fourth year, but it's really the third year, in my opinion, because the talk is always, if you're going to turn around a football program, especially if you're, like a group of 5 program where you don't have all of this money that will be thrown at you in your first year, very traditional football, usually it's about 3 years to turn around a football program, right? And that's why the first year is a wash, because what he had to inherit and really figure out and bring all the interest back, bring all the donors back. It was like down in the dumps. So that year one was just focused on resetting the culture, bringing everybody back. And then the last couple of seasons, and we saw it too, where he started to, like that first year, you had like that, very celebratory spring game, right? And then they started to get rid of that because it really was focusing on winning football games. And now we are seeing all of that hard work by Timmy and this coaching staff just come through to fruition, and so much credit being at the fact that they are able to build this program, retain the players that they've been able to retain, right? And I think that's what's so impressive about this football team and about a lot of the University of Hawaii teams and about the way that these coaches recruit, is that in this world, and it's very true to the culture here in Hawaii, right? Like, do we need money? Yes, we need money. Obviously, that makes the world go around. But we are built in from coaches to the staff to players, of people that truly are passionate about doing a good job, doing good work, and playing well for this state. And that's what we've been able to see, not just in football this year, but through all the sports, right? You're here for the right reasons. Yes, do I feel like we should be raising more money for all the programs? Of course. That's not what I'm saying. I think we should start to keep, despite what Lee Cataluna says, you need to go and continue to get more money. But I think there's so much credit that needs to be given, that more than I can even express, right, in this show ever, of how much I am just so proud of this football team and Timmy and all the sports. We were just talking about women's basketball, and that's a sport that there's tons of NIL money that's being pumped into it now. And what Hawaii has to deal with, the travel that they have to deal with, the most traveled teams across the country. As much as the West Coast ACC teams and yada, yada, yada want to complain, this is something Hawaii student athletes and coaches have been dealing with. And the fact that they are able to be this successful without a stadium, and I mentioned it so many times before, is the recruiting that Timmy has been able to do, and recruiting/retaining these players without all of the bells and whistles, without your quarterback getting paid $1 million. He's worth it, but fortunately he wants to be here, and I think he is tied. He and Timmy just have this true connection, right? He's not necessarily in it for the money, and you see that. You see this team be able to be coached into that discipline because they want to win games. They want to play hard for this state, and that's what you get. Where Colorado State, yes, they had all that stuff. It's not resulting into wins. Now, the unfortunate side, as we know, in college sports, especially in football, you don't win games when you do have coach for a school that has a lot of resources. Your time is going to end if you don't win, and that is the unfortunate thing that did come out of this weekend, and I'm sure it hurts Timmy as much as it probably hurts Jay Norvell, that his mentor now is out of a job at Colorado State after losing to Hawaii. Again, he didn't have that great of a season last year, and this year was kind of shaky until that big win against Fresno State. But I think the fact that they were lost to Hawaii was kind of the official, all right, should they have won, should Hawaii had lost there and Colorado State won, probably still would have had a job. But it was just one of those writing on the wall. And you texted us first, Paul, before you even saw the news that you felt bad for, of course, former head coach at Colorado State, Jay Norvell. Never want to see a guy or girl lose their job like that. But equally feel as bad for Timmy, because you go out there, we talked about it last week, friendship is on hold. You're going to win that football game. You're not going to take it easy to your friend on the other side. But when the game is done, it's like, man, I'm sure it's kind of like that one of those, I want to enjoy this win, yes, but then seeing that news that his former mentor and friend is out of a job, that's a hard one to take, for sure.
You heard both of the coaches kind of talk about why it sucks to play against your brother, right? And Jay said, I wish we didn't have to play against each other. Timmy said, it sucks to play against your brother, and all of these things, and this is part of the reason why. And I'm sure they both knew that this was on the table entering the weekend. I'm sure that it didn't completely blindside Jay Norvell that he was on the hot seat. And it's an unfortunate part of the industry and of the business is that it's a results-based industry. If you don't have the record, the wins, it's unfortunate. But I will say this. They had a great year last year. It was, I think, the first bowl game for Colorado State since 2017, if I have it correct, my stats correct. So he did have a little bit of success there, but it was not prolonged success. And to our texters' point, they do have nice facilities. They do have more resources than some other programs. So when you see a program like Hawaii doing more with less, it does make you look in the mirror a little bit. And especially for one of these schools that's going off to the new Pac-12, they're looking in the mirror and they're saying, all right, who do we need to take with us so that we can go and elevate ourselves, and who do we need to leave behind in this era? And unfortunately, it seems that Jay Norvell is a casualty of that decision. So sending our best to Coach Norvell. Like you said, this is the worst part of it all and of sports, and I do recommend people remember that part of it. I know fans have a lot of feelings about coaches, positive and negative a lot of times. I do recommend you remember that these are people with families who now have to pick up the pieces and figure out what the next steps are. So maybe with social media criticism, just relax a little bit.
I tell you what, that other Norvell at Florida State would be
He's lucky, man. Holy.
He'd be living quite pretty, should he. As much as we talk about families being affected, you know what? I will not feel bad for that Norvell, because we were talking about James Franklin and his massive payout. Oh, man.
Brutal.
His family will be just fine with that generational wealth should he potentially lose his job there. The other no relation, but the other Norvell at Florida State. But someone texted in also, any chance Chang invites Uncle Jay Norvell to help out during the rest of the season while he navigates his next move? I don't think so, but it is a text to chuckle at. I think in reality, no. As much as he gives him credit, maybe it could be
It wouldn't shock me for a next year thing. I don't see a mid-season. Yeah. I don't think you're messing with any type of
change anything right now.
Chemistry, any type of staffing, I think you're going forward and doing your best you can with this group now, and this is something we can talk about. The coaching carousel is going to be active this offseason. Because as of now, there are, I believe, already double-digit FBS head coaching jobs that are expected to be open once the season concludes, which typically open up other spots at other bigger programs or at other programs. And when you have the success that Hawaii has had this year, there is a legitimate world where people come calling, people come knocking, and you have to fill a position or two or three. And maybe Jay Norvell is the guy who gets the call to fill that spot next year. So and this is not sourced at all. I don't want this to be aggregated and be like, oh, Paul Brecht said that he's bringing in Jay Norvell next year. But it would not surprise me at all if Jay does get a call and Jay doesn't eventually find a head coaching job or a different job in this cycle. If Timmy was like, hey, do you want to pop on, spend a year with us, and then try again in the next cycle as we try to keep this momentum going? That is a scenario I could absolutely see.
Yeah, and here are some of the updated 2026 openings. This is tweeted out by Brett McMurphy yesterday. So you got Arkansas, obviously, like we just talked about, Colorado State, Florida, Kent State, who did announce an interim coach, Oklahoma State, Oregon State, Penn State, Stanford, another interim, Virginia Tech, UAB, and of course UCLA. UCLA kind of writing on the wall with what will happen over there. But yeah, you look at something like Oregon State, and I'm almost getting like PTSD from the time when you see your program being very successful. We've made a lot of references back to 2019 era most recently, and what school that's in the Pac-12 came calling for our football coach when they were successful? Washington State. So seeing this Oregon State on here. Now, I mentioned this last week, and you know, we talked about this, last week, Monday show even, that we're starting to bring up this conversation because
it's one that you need to think about.
And I think it's fair. Like, anytime you do bad, people always want to start the conversation of getting rid of a coach, right? But equally, we needed
two sides to the coin.
We need to continue having the conversation, and we brought it up. We already started talking about it. You heard it here first, people, last week, where, hey, this is starting to, like you mentioned, doing really good with significantly less than all of these other programs. So now all of a sudden, you're all these bigger schools peeping in like, what coaches do you got there?
Imagine what they could do with our resources.
The last time we took the last successful UH football coach, aside from the pandemic that happened, looked like that program was starting to be up and up. Like, you guys look, how much do you pay your guys? That's what we pay you in half the year, right? Like, this is the conversation that I hope, and I will, until I know otherwise, and I believe in Matt Elliott's leadership, that you are already having conversations within and budgeting purposes to try to get ahead of, hey, we need to not only extend Timmy Chang, but, and to Timmy's credit, what Jay Norvell said about him last week is 100% spot on, where he is just this selfless human being, and Timmy will want to get his like coaches and staff paid before he gets paid. But you got to get the head coach extended at least for a couple more years. I think at least the duration of what Micah Alihado will be here, because it seems like they are definitely tied to each other for sure. If you don't have Timmy, chances are Micah, and I wouldn't fault him, will go somewhere
Micah's
else.
Absolutely
right. Like,
if Timmy's not here, I don't think Micah is here.
So you need to secure that relationship. Obviously, we have Micah Eugenio coming in as well next year, but making sure that is there for that stability. But also, like I said, Timmy would defer, I think, a lot of just paying his assistant coaches and the coordinators, because we talk about Dennis Thurman.
Everybody's going to eat.
That guy, we are just lucky to have that guy. I don't know what his, like, and he would never admit it, what his passion is about staying here in Hawaii. We talked to Jeff Reinbold, who's very open with what he loves about Hawaii.
He likes football, and he doesn't mind the sunshine.
He's like, I just don't want to be in the cold, so I'm cool with chilling over here.
As somebody from the cold, I get it.
So Dennis Thurman,
it gets dark early and it gets cold.
Whatever we got to do.
No thanks.
To keep that guy. And the coaching staff. We talked about, the trenches. They've just been getting better throughout the season as we go along. We got to pay the coaches on top of thinking out how to play the players. I know someone texted in, if Micah can secure a bag, then he should transfer. His NFL chances will be very difficult due to his height. If he wants to make generational wealth, he needs to go. We should celebrate what he did and accept that the portal is all a part of the process now. No. Respectfully, appreciate your opinion. Thank you for texting in. As always, you guys are more than welcome to text, but I will respectfully disagree with the fact that it's not. So I know it was tweeted by what's his face, and I think in this world it's easy to jump to that conclusion, but I do think because of that world, we've taken a lot of just the human element out of it, and that's where it brings me back to my original point that I think this team and all the University of Hawaii teams, for that matter, have that's being lost in college sports because of the financial gain and everything like that, is that playing for the University of Hawaii, you have to want to be here. And if you want to be here and everyone's going for the common goal and everyone is selfless, you have a football team that can win at this level with very little resources.
I won't say I totally disagree in terms of, I think it's a fair point where his NFL prospects are certainly less than somebody who has 3 or 4 more inches of height. And I think that's understandable to want to make as much as possible. I don't know how much he would actually make. And there's also the conversation of the grass isn't always greener, where, what happens if he just becomes a backup quarterback somewhere, right? And I don't think teams are going to be paying big dollar to have him sit on the bench or whatever, but there's also the conversation of, I think this is a perfect offense for him. I think he fits very comfortably, and I also want to give UH a chance to at least make a competitive counter, right? Do I think UH is going to be able to offer 7 figures or whatever it may be? Probably not. But can they do right by him and give him a fair deal, and he can stay here and he remains, I mean, he becomes a college football legend. Think about how revered guys like Timmy, like Colt Brennan, I mean, even going into later on, Cole McDonald for one, where you think about college football quarterbacks, a lot of times Hawaii quarterbacks pop into your mind as like, damn, they're super fun. Micah can be the next one in that, and that doesn't pay you all that much, but also in the world of NIL, there's a chance that maybe it can. So I do want to give Hawaii and the people of Hawaii an opportunity to make a counter to be competitive to keep him here, because I don't know if 7 figures truly would be on the table for him yet.
I do think he's very much like his head football coach, very selfless.
Well, and that's another thing as well.
I think Micah, to his credit, and that for a young person, he's already proven that he wants to give back to his fellow teammates. And I think if you're going to tell him, hey, we can pay you to have an even better offensive line, I don't think he'll kind of balk at it, right? Like, I think similar to where we think about Timmy wanting to make sure his staff gets paid to try to retain as much as that talent as he can. Both leaders of the program are very, very unselfish, but at the same time, we need to make sure, and by we, I mean obviously administration for UH, and of course fans, because fans now have an opportunity to give to make sure certain things can happen. You can't take advantage of that. You can't take advantage of them being this selfless. You need to try to get them too close to what you can. Yeah, but
you need to be competitive. And I know that's like such a buzzword phrase when it comes to hiring and whatever, but you need to legitimately show like, hey, this is a respectful offer. This is us. We know we don't have the same resources, but we want to show you that we value you. This is what we can do so that things can be whatever. And when it comes to the Micah conversation, I don't disagree either. I think we're moving more and more towards a professional type of sphere where it's like, I think you could see Micah give up a little bit of money if he gets a little bit of control of, hey, we're going to bring in this guy. Hey, we're going to bring in this guy, almost in a free agency type of sense. I think you could see something like that. I don't know. It's an interesting conversation.
I mean, I know you hate to hear this, Paul, but there was this one quarterback, the greatest quarterback in the NFL, won a lot of Super Bowls, that was never the highest paid quarterback because he wanted
still
to pay
made a lot of money.
He still wanted to pay everyone around him, and that being Tom Brady for the New England Patriots. But we're going to take a break. We'll be back to close it out on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ulei Agbayani on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Welcome back to Wake Up in the Den. Kule Agbayani and Paul Brecht on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network and on our YouTube channel as well. Never stop dreaming. Again, I'm going to keep being optimistic that we can make it into the Mountain West Championship game until this team, big if though, I don't want to say that they will prove us otherwise, but if they do, then we can have very real conversations about yada, yada, yada. But until then, we are going to be dreaming about getting into the Mountain West Championship game because the conference is wide open. As we mentioned, Utah State, who Hawaii just beat, able to beat San Jose State at home this past weekend, 30-25. And Hawaii goes on the road to play San Jose State next week, Saturday. Again, they got that bye week, fortunately, because hopefully Micah isn't too banged up, but he gets a little chance to rest. Air Force able to beat Wyoming, who Wyoming had some pretty surprising wins. Boise State running it up on UNLV. Now this was on the Smurf turf, but 56-31. UNLV can't stop anything. I still think their offense is going to be deadly. What is his name? Calandria, their quarterback. He's going to be something for the defense to reckon with when we get to play the Rebels. But they're really not that scary. Again, getting annihilated by Boise. New Mexico 24-22 over Nevada. But I'm like, this is really, really wide open. San Diego State, we've mentioned this before, probably the only team that scares us. But San Diego State, this week's going to be a big week because they play Fresno State. So depending on how that game goes, we could see San Diego State also has on their schedule Boise State. So that could potentially, if Hawaii were to lose and just the way that losses work out, just keep winning, baby. Just keep winning.
It's the wild, wild Mountain West. And tell you what, everybody's got a chance, including Hawaii. And that is the most fun thing that we could ask for at this point.
We're so looking forward to it. Anyways, we got to start wrapping it up already. We didn't even get to some of the basketball stuff. So we'll talk more with you guys tomorrow. But thank you for tuning in, listening, and watching. For Paul Brecht, I'm Ku'ule Agbayani. It's been Wake Up in the Den. Bye.
KGU AM K2.